ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, שהכל נהיה בדברו. One of the problems we face when we do certain things is that they become routine. You do them all the time, and of course, some of the novelty disappears. For instance, I go to the synagogue every day, I put on tefillin. Do I pray properly every day? Probably not. I remember one opportunity, I saw a young man of Lubavitch putting on tefillin on a gentleman that looked in his 70s. And I heard the man say, since the day of my bar mitzvah, which means when he was 13, I have not put on tefillin again. And he was putting it on for the first time that day. But I could see that his eyes were watery. The man felt it was an unusual experience, even though he wasn't a great believer, yet the putting on tefillin maybe brought memories of the time when he was bar mitzvah. Maybe it reminded him that he really should be doing it. I don't know what went through his mind, but obviously it was not a routine experience that he was having that day. It was very singular, very important. Many years ago, I visited the White House. You know, it's not the most impressive edifice in the world. There are castles in Europe that are 10 times more imposing and God knows what. But yet, when you enter the White House and you realize you're going into the home where the greatest decisions in the world were taken in the last century. The United States saved Europe from 2 world wars. You see a portrait of Lincoln, who freed slaves. You see, really, you're stepping into history, world history. There's no question that you're awed by it. I haven't gone back to the White House since then. I doubt that I would have the same experience, but I imagine I would still be impressed by that house. And I ask myself, what about the people that work there? Those that have offices there? Do they walk in every day and say, "Hi, Abraham Lincoln"? Are they aware of where they are? Maybe they are to a certain extent, but after a while, it sort of becomes routine. You do it every day. I remember the advice of an elderly rabbi that once told me the following, and I'm going to tell you something. I needed to illustrate what I'm going to say. I have officiated at more than 2,000 weddings. This rabbi told me, every time you do a wedding, you must remember, regardless of the number of weddings that you did, for this couple, this is the most important event in their life. It's the first time they're getting married, and they hope it'll be the last time. So this is all for them. You have to think about it. You know, it cannot become routine for you. You must bear in mind that this event is really earth-shaking for some people. And maybe not for you, but keep it in mind. A surgeon goes into the operating room. He has done already this surgery, God knows how many times, but he knows that for this patient, that is the most important event, that life and death are in your hands at that moment. You have to treat it as such, with tremendous respect, with awe. And this is one of our problems. We become accustomed to certain things, and we fail to grasp the moment, the importance, the transcendence of what we're going to do. You know, there were 2 sons of Aaron, the high priest, Kohen Gadol, that died the day when the Mishkan, the tabernacle, was inaugurated. Why did they die? The Torah says, because they brought B'akrivam esh zara. They brought a strange fire into the holy place. What was the strange fire? Well, some rabbis say, no, they should have waited for fire to descend from heaven to consume the sacrifice. Instead, they brought their own fire. They don't know exactly what happened. Some say, you know, maybe they were high on liquor. They had drunk wine before, because the Torah immediately after that episode said that a Kohen cannot have any alcoholic beverage before he goes in to officiate. Maybe they did that. Some say, you know what, maybe they started already emitting opinions in the presence of Aaron and Moshe. They felt their self-importance, and they know as much as the others. And even in their presence, when they should have waited for the elders to say what their opinion is, they started to decide matters. Others say, you know what? They weren't married. Why weren't they married? Well, maybe they thought there isn't a girl worthy of their position. They're the sons of Aaron. There's nobody worthy. They don't know exactly what was the reason why they were consumed at that time. Maybe it was that they stopped feeling the importance of the moment. They were in the house of God. They were about to communicate with God. They were representing the Jewish people. They had done it before, and maybe they no longer appreciated the importance. The fact that they were the delegates, that the fate of the Jewish people depended upon their action. After a while, things become routine, and we stop appreciating the transcendence, the importance, the effects of what we are about to do. And this happens to us in life at all times. You know, we stop appreciating things because we have them all the time. Health. It's enough for one little finger to hurt you in order to be aware of the existence of that finger. When you are in good health, you don't appreciate it, but the moment it starts failing you, you realize how important it is. So therefore, maybe it's no accident that when we get up in the morning, we have to say, Modeh ani lefanecha. I thank you, God, that I'm alive. You take for granted that you're supposed to live. But you know how many things have to work right for you to live? You know what has to happen? All the chemical mixtures that have to take place in your body, the messages that are sent by the nerves, by different things, for you to move. Are you aware of that? You have to stop thinking of things as routine, that they belong to you, that they're your right. Start thinking of the transcendence of the moment. And maybe that was the sin of the children of Aaron. And this is what each and every one of us has to say, that what you do is very important. And make sure that you do it to the best of your ability.